We see testimonials, we see the highlight reel, but it's messy to get those results. It's actually work, and we don't see the actual work and the in-between on social media. You're listening to the From Imposter to Empowered podcast. I'm your host, Jill Perrick, a business and mindset coach who specializes in imposter syndrome. If you feel like you're not as smart, capable, or worthy as you actually are, and that someone is going to find you out, then you've come to the right place. I went from being a struggling government worker, working my coaching business on the side, but feeling unworthy and burnt out, to making multiple six figures helping women overcome imposter syndrome so they too can sign clients, make bank, and have the business or career of their dreams. I am nothing special. I have a stuttering disability, ADHD, and I struggle with anxiety and depression. So if I can learn how to feel good enough and overcome my inner imposter, then so can you. Let's dig in. Hi, hello, my beauties. Welcome back to the From Imposter to Empowered podcast. How are we? I have a good one for you today. I mean, they're all good, but it would be super annoying if I said that every single episode. So today, though, we're diving into the elephant in the fucking room, getting your clients' results, and how that relates to imposter syndrome, and why you having the thoughts of, holy fuck, can I get my clients' results, are not actually a problem at all. We're also going to put to bed any fear or worry around taking credit for your client wins, and how to hold space for your clients like a motherfucker. We are doing all things clients today, because you know what? Coaching is a motherfucking skill. It really is. When you're not great at coaching, that is going to impact your income. You can have the best marketing in the whole world, but if your clients aren't getting results and if you're not actually facilitating a transformation, that is going to really impact your income. So don't forget to nurture your coaching skills at the same time as learning the tools around sales and marketing, okay? All right, let's get into it then. The fear of not getting your clients' results. So this is a fear that will hold you back from marketing, from showing up, from selling your services in general. When you're working with clients, it'll manifest as anxiety and fear that you're not helping them, and you'll be anxiously attached to your clients and their results, hoping that they'll get results so you can feel good about yourself, but you only allow yourself to feel as good as the last result that they got. This is very heavily related to the attachment styles. I can't remember who created the attachment styles, but it was mainly used in relationships. But I found that attachment styles really do translate over into business as well. In terms of when you are anxiously attached to your business, you are only feeling as good as the last thing that happened, as the last good thing you hear from your client. But if a client is stressing out or they have a problem, etc., you yourself start freaking out and being like, I'm a bad coach, things aren't working, how do I help them, etc. Okay, so that's what it means to be anxiously attached to your clients and their results. And this means that your holding space for clients doesn't really exist, because if they have a problem or a fear, you spin out. You spin out about it. And I'm not here to shame you for it. This is a very natural response. And this comes back to the feeling of not feeling good enough and not feeling like you're doing enough. It can also come back to perfectionism. If you have really high standards for yourself, almost impossible standards, it's possible that it doesn't matter what results your clients get, it's never good enough. And notice the energy that you show up in. First of all, you are leading by example. If you don't think that a result or a win is worth celebrating, they won't think so either. Your client trusts you, or else they wouldn't be fucking paying you. And while your inner imposter wants to crumble under this pressure, or wants to stress you out feeling not good enough and questioning yourself constantly and if you're helping them, you have to step into your worthy woman identity here. You have to lead by example and be the coach that your client desperately needs. We talk a lot about the dream client, right? The soulmate client and calling them in, but are you actually being their dream coach or their dream service provider? You have to decide to be that person. You already are that person because they're paying you, right? But are you actually embodying that? So here's the thing. Can we reframe this fear of not getting your clients results as evidence that you fucking care about them? That you are a pure human being who wants to get your clients results, even if it's for selfish reasons, okay? Even if you do want to get them the results so you can feel good, so what? There's nothing morally wrong with that, right? Like, you want to feel good, you want to feel safe, and why punish yourself for that? I actually have a story about this. One of my one-to-one clients had been working so hard to get a client, showing up, doing the mindset work, and then she got an inquiry and freaked the fuck out. Like, so much fear, imposter syndrome, what if I can't do this, etc. And I told her, what if this fear is okay? Like, what if this was a perfectly normal reaction to doing all this work and then getting what you want? It is so scary to set an intention and actually get what we want. So for so many of us, it changes the narrative that things don't work out for us, that you're a special snowflake who doesn't get what you want, and that's scary and threatening to our nervous systems, to our identities of ourselves, to actually get what we want and to be morphing into that identity of our highest self. So again, what if we reframed your fear to it's just care for your clients and their results? And what if it isn't something to be afraid of? What if we leaned into that fear of not getting your clients results and saw it with compassion? Like, oh yes, this is my inner child coming out. Like, little Jilly is afraid to let people down. Little Jilly is afraid that she won't be good enough. This pattern is a program I've always run before. How can I change this pattern? How do I usually react to this? And how can I change this narrative? And this fear of not getting your clients results, it literally never comes true. Like, hardly ever. Can you imagine going into the container as your best self, having so much time with your client, and them being the best fit for your container and them not getting results? It would be impossible, and this is why it's so important to do the fucking work on yourself so you are charging adequately for your services, and so you are calling in the right people, because when they are the right person and when you are doing your work, so you are showing up in your power, you feel good about the work that you're doing, and you are charging adequately, there is no way that your client will not get results. It would be impossible. I don't even think that this fear is a legitimate fear. It's more so you have a perfectionistic view of results and you want to make sure that you feel safe in the future, because it might be uncomfortable to work with somebody when you feel like you're not delivering results. But that is a safety issue rooted in you. That is something that you can calm with nervous system regulation work, in terms of like feeling calm within yourself and like you are doing enough and like you are enough and that you are giving 110% to your client. And like I said, it is very rare that if you are talking to the right person, if you yourself are charging adequately for your services where you feel compensated, it is going to be a very rare occurrence where you are not going to show up 110% to the container, and same with your client. And then of course they would get results. But just for the sake of it, let's let your brain go there. Like, what if they don't get the exact result that you promise? Again, it's unlikely that they will get no results at all. But if you're, let's say, a business coach and you said you'd help them sign a client and they don't, first of all, everyone has their own process. Everyone. No client looks the same and no journey looks the same. They don't lose every ounce of things that they learned with you or did with you just because the container ends. There have been times where I've had clients who have shown up and done the work and they didn't sign a ton of clients, but then after we're done together, it all started happening because the work that we were doing together has compounded and caught up to them, right? So if this happens, this is not a time to withdraw or let your inner imposter beat you down. It is an opportunity for you to be a problem solver. I talk about this all the time with my clients, that you have to take the focus off of I'm not good enough and instead move into how can I solve this problem? When we make something mean that we're not enough, it's like we're hitting a dead end. It's like we're at the end of the road and we're like, fuck, there's nowhere else to go. I guess this is just where I'll stay, how I'm not good enough and like I'll never sign a client again because I can't help them. But Instead, how can I solve this problem can take you down multiple paths. It allows you to become the solver of a problem. It allows you to get creative. It allows you to take action. So yes, your client might not get the exact results you promised in the exact time frame that you promised, but this doesn't mean anything about you, especially because remember, you are a good person that wants to get results for your clients and you're showing up as your best self. So when this happens, you get to work solving the problem instead of withdrawing into I am not good enough land. Because this fear, which ultimately stems from imposter syndrome, can completely impact your ability to make money because you'll be self-sabotaging as fuck, not wanting to sign a client in the event that they won't get results. This is a big thing that we discuss in the From Imposter to Empowered program, which is my group program for coaches and OSPs who are making between 0 to 3K a month and want to overcome imposter syndrome so they can make 5K months, their bare minimum in business. So getting your clients' results is a big factor in making money in your business. And if imposter syndrome is holding you back from believing that you can do so, you'll want to come work with us inside of the From Imposter to Empowered program, which is at the link in my show notes, and you can join for just $333 a month. I want to switch gears a tiny bit here and talk about the holding space part of this podcast. Simply put, when we are uncomfortable with our own emotions, when we have ourselves on a timeline, we cannot handle the discomfort of our clients. We are uncomfortable holding ourselves, so there is no capacity to hold our clients. Let me tell you a story, okay? When I first learned how to drive, no one ever taught me before I actually took driving lessons to get my actual driver's license, okay? I am a clumsy bitch and very uncoordinated, so we all knew that driving would be interesting. Also, I have ADHD, so that makes a lot of sense now. But when I started taking lessons, I was in 10th or 11th grade, and the instructor picked me up from school, and he let me drive. And I was like, I don't want to drive. And he was like, you'll be fine. Big mistake. I drove us into a fucking snowbank. And here's the thing, the instructor got in the car with me, but he didn't shame me after letting me drive and then I drove us into a snowbank. He gently course corrected me. He didn't make it mean we were fucked and I was never going to be a good driver, right? So how are you sitting in session or working with clients and you're letting them drive and getting nervous and feeling like they're in complete control while biting your nails next to them or pushing the imaginary brake because you're afraid of a crash? You take control. You don't make it mean anything when your clients are in distress or having an issue. They are calibrating with your nervous system, right? And this is why, again, the nervous system stuff is so important in having a business because you have to be the lead here. Don't make it mean anything when your clients are in distress or having an issue. That's literally why they came to you. It's why they need the support and the coaching, the organization, the systems, whatever it is. And don't be surprised when your clients actually need coaching, right? I think that we see testimonials and as always, we only see the highlight reel, but it's fucking messy to get those results. Right? It's work. Another thing that I want to say here about holding space as well is I learned this in school with regards to relationship therapy, and that is speaking to the underlying emotion instead of the context and trying to problem solve. Because you think about your partner coming home from work and they're all stressed out about work and you immediately shift into okay, well, you can't quit because we need the money and we need to do this and we need to do that, instead of being that sounds really fucking frustrating. Instead of actually speaking to the fact they're feeling frustrated, they're feeling sad, right? And I am somebody who I'm a problem solver. I will problem solve until the cows come home, but I've learned how to catch it and be oop, I'm trying to solve something here instead. Why don't I figure out what's going on underneath? For example, I was coaching a client in the From Imposter to Empowered program, and she was talking about her income. She had just come into the program and she was talking about, here's where my income is and this is where it's at, and I have all these stressors when it comes to the bills and I need to pay the bills, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, Okay, what identity do you have that you're aligning to that is creating this pattern? I did not ask her, like, what's your income? Let's get out a spreadsheet. How can you sell your offer more? Where can we look for clients? Of course, these things can be helpful, but I was looking deeper because obviously I was figuring out that there was emotion there, that there were patterns here. And looking deeper is what you're going to want to do when you're holding space for your client. So talk to the underlying emotion, talk to the identity underneath the context of the problem that your client is giving you. That is how you fucking hold space. So, like I was saying, we see testimonials, we see the highlight reel, but it's messy to get those results. It's actually work, and we don't see the actual work and the in-between on social media. I should honestly create something on Instagram called client woes instead of client wins, because testimonials don't show the amount of mindset work, grit, shitty moments that lead up to these wins. So all of this to say, something I work on with clients is their ability to feel their emotions without making it mean anything, without attributing their stories to their emotions. And we are not taught this in school. It's such a process. And many of us grew up with boomer fucking parents who were emotionally immature. So let's be kind and gentle with ourselves. Let's notice our discomfort, see it for what it is, and relax into it. But don't get in the car with your clients, allowing them to take the fucking wheel. You are the one that takes the wheel. Lastly, let's talk about taking credit, in quotations, for your clients' wins. I've had multiple clients say that they feel embarrassed about sharing client wins. They feel like they're taking credit for their client wins. They're afraid to share old testimonials because some coach said that, right? So first of all, being afraid to share old testimonials is such a dig from your imposter syndrome. Like, it's the same old song and dance. What you've done in the past isn't good enough. You can't take credit for it now, and you are only as good as what you're currently creating, which is bullshit. Share those fucking testimonials, whether they're from last year or last week. I've seen coaches say a flavor of this, like, these are all new testimonials, and that's amazing for them, right? Like, but also your testimonials aren't null and void because they're older than a day. They fucking count. Your work counts, just so we're clear, okay? And nobody gives a fuck like you think that they do, and nobody's noticing like you think that they do. Even your clients, they may recognize the testimonials that they've sent you, but they're not keeping track, right? They absolutely are not. And secondly, let's ditch this idea that you're taking any fucking credit for your client wins. Like, no matter what your offer is or what you do, you are collaborating with your client. And if you know that, if you believe that, it is not going to like reek of that I am taking credit energy. Like, you are in the process of doing with your client and not celebrating yourself because you think you shouldn't take any credit at all is your inner imposter telling you, again, that you just got lucky. It's a fluke. It doesn't count because it isn't yours to share. But the whole point of the work that we do is the fact that you are doing it with your client. And whenever I share a client screenshot, I always talk about how they did the work, how they showed up, blah, 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 blah. And it's obvious that they accomplished this because of the work that we're doing together and because of the work that they put in. And that should be very obvious to you and to your potential clients as well. If you can't acknowledge your part in your client's growth, when are you going to acknowledge the work that you're doing? It is not humble or modest to be like, oh, they did all the work. Like, they, of course, did the work, but so did you. You put the work in, you collaborated with them, and you are delivering on your service. It deserves to be celebrated and acknowledged. I actually had a client say one time in a feedback forum that she didn't realize that I would share her win so much. Like that was a problem because she had a lot of them. But I decided to, from then on, block out their name and their picture. I never did share their name, but I did share their picture. And now I block out their name and their picture to keep maximum privacy and security. I also never name my clients unless I have their permission, or if they're in a video type testimonial kind of thing, or if they share me on their stories, etc. So yeah, I understand the fear and even embarrassing feelings of sharing testimonials, but you guys, this is a part of running an online business. And let me just say too that I didn't change anything because this client said this to me. I have disclaimers in my contracts that yes, if you share your results with me, I'm going to share them. And sharing your client wins and their testimonials is a part of your fucking job. It is social proof, and it may be a little uncomfortable, but it's probably because you're not used to celebrating yourself or acknowledging the work that you're doing. Imposter syndrome fucking strikes again, as always. And finally, that's the last thing. See your sharing of client wins as a celebration. You are celebrating your clients. You are proud of them and yourself. Yes, it is a part of your marketing, but why would you feel bad about that? Sharing testimonials is a way for me to say, look, you may have questions or wonder if this works, and look at the clients that I've worked with that it has worked for. When you reframe sharing your client wins as acknowledging your collaboration and celebrating the results, you shift the narrative away from this self-serving, how dare I take credit for this energy that is really only making you withdraw and avoid marketing more, and is doing nothing for your confidence or your ability to believe that you are making a big difference in your clients' lives. All right, my loves, that's it for today. If what I'm saying every week is resonating with you, if you feel pulled to do this work with me, if you're ready to stop fucking around and start making the 5K to 10K months that you desire with both the mindset and the strategy and the emotional resilience and regulation, come work with me in the From Imposter to Empowered program or the Fraud Squad Mastermind. As a reminder, the From Imposter to Empowered program is for those of you growing to 5K consistent months, and the Fraud Squad is for those of you who are scaling into those 10K plus months. Okay, you can find the links to my offers in the show notes. I love you so much, and I'll see you in July. Thanks so much for listening to the From Imposter to Empowered podcast. Head to the show notes to learn how you can work with me, where you can buy my best-selling book, You're Not Special, and how to get on my email list for free. Screenshot this episode and add it to your Instagram stories, tagging me at Your Coach Jill. See you next time.